Following in the footsteps of Tiger Woods, I'd like to read a prepared statement from Andy Reid. Good afternoon and thank you for joining me. Many of you in this room are my friends, especially you, Howard. Many of you in this room know me. Many of you have cheered for me, worked for me, or supported me. Now every one of you has reason to be critical of me. I want to say to each of you simply and directly, I am deeply sorry for my utter failure to deliver a championship in 11 years. I know people want to find out how I could be so selfish and so foolish. Donovan and I have started the process of discussing the damage caused by my repeated inability to properly call an offense that suits his strength. My real apology will not come in the form of words. It will come from my behavior over time. Like when I trade Donovan and watch some other coach get more out of him, like a properly executed 2-minute drill. And I begin another decade of futility with the next guy I won't win a championship with, Kevin Cobb.
Our theme today is horseshoes and hand grenades. We gather here at Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia, a place populated by the greatest, most passionate fans in the country. And these fans have been asked by the football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, to accept less than greatness. They've been conditioned the last 11 seasons to accept being competitive, not the ultimate. Hence the horseshoes and hand grenades theme. Administration, we're being close counts. Club President Joe Banner, when asked about Andy Reid, who would have been going into the last year of his deal, had this to say to Larry King.
You know, one of the things that you're very aware of when you're on the inside of running one of these teams is fluctuations and evaluations of players or coaches from kind of week to week, when they really are what they are. So Andy can have a bad week, he can have a bad year. It wouldn't change the fact that he's in the upper echelon of coaches in this league, and we feel lucky to have him. So.
Now that soundbite sums it up. You got to keep in mind, this was mid-October. Reid was given the extension. The club proceeded to finish 6th, snuck into the playoffs, got embarrassed 58-14 in the last 2 games by the hated rival. There's a lack of accountability, a lack of an organizational interpretation of what success is.
I don't know where I should start after 2 forms of plagiarism to start this debate. So, what are we here for? To plagiarize or to talk about this football team this year? I don't know how many people agree or disagree on Donovan McNabb. I know where I stand, and we'll talk about it in the upcoming 60-plus minutes. I don't know where people stand on what other areas this football team has to change. I know there'll be debate about Brian Dawkins, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. Yes, we all miss Brian Dawkins. Would the Eagles' record have changed one bit if Brian Dawkins was here? Unlikely that they would have beaten the Cowboys. Unlikely that they would have had more than 11 wins. But after winning the first 2 debates, I feel I should obviously allow others here to, get into the spirit of feeling good about themselves.
Great Eagles fans for attending today's event here at Chickies and Pete's and for listening to the radio all across the region and beyond. Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, are at a fascinating point in franchise history. From my point of view, the Eagles were able to substantially revamp the roster last year, and with that younger, new-look team, they won 11 games and reached the playoffs. Ultimately, it was disappointing. Very disappointing way to end a promising season. We fell short of our goal, a goal that is shared by everyone who works with the team, as well as its great fan base. We all know the Eagles, and this team has a very exciting core of young players, probably as exciting a group as I've ever been around. They've got some emerging stars. The next generation of Eagles fans will be wearing LaShawn McCoy jerseys and Jeremy Maclin jerseys and Deshaun Jackson jerseys. The talent level on this team is promising, and we all agree on that. Next several months, very important to upgrade the roster, whether that's free agency, the draft, trades. What we don't know is what the Eagles will do to answer those questions, and so today, I'm here to talk about that with some esteemed Philadelphia members of the media. I do so every day on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. I love the interaction with the fans. I appreciate that very much. One goal and one goal only matters to everyone, and that is to win the Lombardi Trophy.
Good morning, everybody. And for my opening statement, I'd like to channel the spirit of the 700 level. Those people who wept with joy when Wilbert Montgomery broke that run at the vet against the Cowboys in January of 1981. Those who watched on television and wept with sorrow during the Fog Bowl in Chicago. Those who left the Veterans Stadium the last night against Tampa Bay motionless with empty eyes. That passion that is Philadelphia, uniquely Philadelphia. That is what we need for this offseason. That is what I want the Philadelphia Eagles to cleave to, where they need sweeping changes right now at quarterback, throughout their defense. I implore them this offseason to make it once and for all, to go out and also exude and exhibit the passion of the 700 level, of all those people who care so deeply about this football team. Do not be afraid and make the changes you need to do for the future. Remember the 700 level. Thank you.
Listen, I'm using up most of my time, obviously, because I really don't have an opening statement. But let me just say this. I'm going to spend the next hour and a half debating with my fellow co-workers. But here's the thing. You know, when this debate was brought to us as to whether or not we wanted to do this, most of us said, what do we have to debate about? We're all on the same page. You know, it's time for a change. But that was my knee-jerk reaction. That was the emotion of the season, the disappointment, you know, that I was speaking of. Like most of you all that I've heard for the last month. So much emotion, so much passion about this team. I get it. You know I'm going to take longer than a minute and a half, so we might as well put that clock up. If you didn't get a chance to hear me last week, Joe Conklin with Big Daddy Grandma was pretty good. That was 17 minutes. They don't expect me to be out there for 5 minutes. But that being said, hold on.
In solidarity with Ike, I also have prepared absolutely nothing to begin a debate today. But I did look around this room, hundreds of people, most of you Eagle fans, for your lifetime. And maybe 5% of you were alive the last time the Philadelphia Eagles won a championship in the NFL. 5% of you. Almost all of you have lived your entire lives without feeling the excitement that we felt when the Phillies won it a year and a half ago and marched right down Broad Street. We remember that pretty well. So the question, what this debate is really all about, is a very basic question. Why have the Eagles failed for half a century to give us what I want? And are they trying hard enough for us to finally get to the goal that we want so badly? And that becomes a question about a commitment of a team to sell you the kind of garbage that Dave Spadaro just tried to sell you. That they're so exciting and thrilling now. I don't ever remember them being this exciting before. I don't care about exciting. I don't care about next year's prognosis of the lapdogs of the organization. I care about the fans who waited 50 years.
When I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, I really don't care that much that they win a Super Bowl. I like them to, but I want to like the team. The problem with the Philadelphia Eagles for me isn't the quarterback, isn't the coach, it's just the coach, it's the coach and the GM. It's an unearned arrogance that comes from the top of their organization. And it's all symbolized in one person. Was there any need other than make me feel good to get Michael Vick? Zero. Because they wanted to use this organization as trading places, they made a fan base feel disinterested, not like the team, and they forced their players into a cocoon where they had to vote a guy as their most prestigious player, their comeback player, whatever the award was. I won't even say the name guy because he'd be embarrassed. But the players were forced in that position for what? For a player who barely got on the field because the organization thought they knew better than anybody else. And that's symbolized in that because they knew we didn't need any receivers. God knows the future's now based on young receivers. Because when you're smarter than everybody else and you're a dope, things don't work out well.